Hey all, Zach Lokes. Let's talk food. So I want to talk about ecosystem design because a lot of the conversation around gardening and farming and understanding food security can come back to a really good design system. And ecosystems are a great modular unit for design because if you think about what an ecosystem is, that it's an interaction of living organisms with each other and with the environment around them, the water, the sun, the air, the earth, soil, etc., then you can see that the modular unit can expand and contract, and it can disperse out, and it can also start to come in to protect itself. It can have boundaries that are set at different stages. For example, in a woodland ecosystem that stretches between, say, two county roads, you could say this is a temperate woodland ecosystem that's within this area, or you could say this is a cornfield ecosystem within this area. But at the same time, we could look within that and say there's an ecosystem right around this one oak tree. It has all sorts of complexity that happens that's very inherent to this one tree. There's organisms that are in relationship with it in its root zone. There's organisms that live within its bark and in the canopy. It's its own unit. And so what I love about the term is that unlike biome, which describes a very large region, a really large ecological region that, say, crosses the entire boreal biome of Canada, or taiga biome in Eurasia and Asia, or any other biome like the prairie biome. Unlike that term, an ecosystem can be scaled because you can think of the boreal biome is a large, regional continental ecosystem, and then within it you can define smaller modules. Within it you can define smaller units. So ecosystem design is about recognizing how we can create small units or micro landscapes that mimic the sort of functioning and force behind ecosystems within these units, and then we can pattern them across a landscape in order to make larger macro ecosystems and allow them to disperse their own seeds and propagate themselves, and we can help propagate them to create larger macro landscapes too. So in essence, ecosystem design is about taking that graph paper and coloring in one square in that graph paper and saying this is a micro edible ecosystem, and I'm going to put it in yellow because I'm going to mimic a prairie ecosystem in terms of the composition of species. So I'm going to have mostly species that are herbs and maybe grasses and flowering plants. It's not going to be trees because it's a prairie ecosystem. We're modeling it off. And then in this other graph, I'm going to color it in, maybe blue, and it's going to represent an ecosystem that likes shady woodland situations. And this other one I'm going to do in red, and it's going to be a berry ecosystem that is abundant in regenerating thickets of berries and shrubs like saskatoons and chokecherries and raspberries and currants and things like that. So we're looking at real ecosystems, but then we're putting in really valuable species, really valuable cultivars to humans, whether we're regenerating with native species or using actual domesticated varieties of plants. In either case, ecosystem design, again, is about looking at the wild ecosystem and then borrowing its form, function, and potential, and then creating a designed ecosystem, and then patterning multiple micro landscapes together across your yard, farm fields, entire communities to make large landscapes that are ecologically sound. So, and part of that is understanding ecosystem services. So that's what we're going to talk about in our next talk. So I hope that was some good food for thought.